right, you guys, this episode 20 of War Stories. I just hit you guys with 19, and I've already said this earlier when I dropped the first episode. You guys ain't gonna get no blood and guts in this one right here, man. This one's gonna be a quick one, and it's basically for those of you last night during my lives that asked about me flipping the truck at the other job I was working. It didn't have nothing to do with that high speed I went on. It didn't have nothing to do with the time I rolled down the fucking Altamont with no brakes. This was at another job that this happened. Matter of fact, there's actually 3 incidents that I'm going to tell you about in this same video. It all happened at the same job. And this is for you youngsters, man. If there's some youngsters watching, you guys need to go to school and get a fucking trade. Go get some type of craft, some kind of skill set that you can have, so later on in life, when you're in your 40s and your 50s, you're not like me trying to play catch up and slaving in a construction job or driving a truck or working 15 and 16 hours a day in warehouses. You're gonna have to get a job like me, the way I've been working for whenever I did get a legitimate job, slaving away at these types of jobs because you don't have a skill. I didn't go out, when I was in prison, I wasn't on the main lines where I got to take advantage of the vocation and the shit that some of those prisons offer. Some of those prisons, man, they offer good opportunities for you to pick up a trade, whether it's welding, carpentry, HVAC, whatever it is, man. If you guys don't get a job now, you're gonna be playing catch up later on in life, living from paycheck to paycheck. When you're in your 40s and your 50s, man, right now you're young, so you don't feel it. But you hit 40, man, your bones start hurting. Your fucking joints and your ligaments start hurting. You're like a worn out rubber band, man. The last thing you want to do when you have to work and go out and make money for your family, provide for your family, is to work a fucking warehouse job. I had to do it because I had to do it. Either warehousing, construction, or driving. They don't give a fuck. They either want you to dig a fucking hole 1,000 miles deep, or they want you to just take their shit across the country and deliver it. They don't care what you look like. They don't care you got tattoos. They don't care you're a felon. They don't care. But those jobs are limited, man. They're limited. They don't pay good. You just barely scraping by. Well, I mean, I take that back. Actually, the driving, if you learn how to do your double doubles and all that shit, and you really get a good job driving and you get in with some of these big companies, you can make some bread. But it might not be the kind of work that you want to be working in your 40s and 50s, man. So get a job now, get a skill now, so that you can work, get a legitimate job when you're in your 30s, maybe even into your 40s. But when you get in your 50s, man, you're gonna want to relax, possibly retire, and fucking go on vacation and enjoy your last years on this fucking planet, man. So anyway, I told you guys about the 2 incidents I had where, one, I drove down the Altamont with no fucking brakes. That was one incident, and this was all at the same job, DSD. And then also, I ended up going on that technically I call it a high speed, but it wasn't. I basically jumped the fucking, the scales at one of the weigh stations in Chowchilla, and I took off, man. I took off when CHP told me to pull over. I basically just took off, got up out of there. I had to. Anyway, these other situations that happened, there's actually 3 of them I'm going to tell you about. And this happened at MBM, Meadowbrook Meat Company. And they're a proprietor now under Warren Buffett, and I forget I just had it was right on the tip of my fucking tongue. McLean. So McLean bought MBM out. So now Warren Buffett has that company too. He just absorbed them motherfuckers up in all the other millions of dollars and millions of dollars worth of companies he has. So anyway, I know some of you are gonna probably you guys are probably gonna fucking bust on me talking about, man, you must be a lousy driver. No, man, not really. I just had some unfortunate situations. There ain't nothing I could do about driving down the Altamont with no brakes. I did that just because I'm just a sav like that. You know what I mean? I'm a sav, and I did not want to sit there and wait for 5 hours for a tow truck to come pick me up. The other situation in the that where I jumped the scales, you guys already know the details. I wasn't gonna sit there and get sat down for another 5 hours while they took my driver's license. I probably would have got my regular license hit since I was driving a Class B truck with no certification. Anyway, so that had nothing to do with my driving skills. Now, these other situations, they happen, man. When you're driving a big ass truck, that's a big vehicle, man, and sometimes you end up tagging shit. You hit shit, you accidentally run into shit, or it happens, man. What can I say? For as long as I drove trucks, I think I was a pretty damn good driver, and I had a couple accidents the entire time. So with three incidents out of all the times I've been driving, hey man, the numbers are in my favor. So anyway, this company that I worked for, it was a company that I told you guys this in one of my other live or one of the other inner demons or war stories, but this company delivered the bulk items. When you guys go into a Safeway or a Lucky's and you go into the back and you see like the dried fruit and all the candy and the mixed nuts and all that's the stuff I used to deliver right there. Big fucking loads of that shit, pallets and pallets of that shit. I didn't have to fill it up. Somebody else in the store, they used to do that shit, but I used to drop it off, and I used to hit all kind of stores all up and down California, almost all the way out to Southern Cal, up until about Fresno, man. So anyway, this job I was driving, it was a Hino truck. For those of you that are familiar with trucks, Hino, a Hino. It's a 2,600 pound fucking well, actually the truck doesn't weigh 26,000 pounds. That's the weight that you can, I believe that you can carry driving it. But it's a Hino. It's a box truck. It's one of them big ass fucking box trucks though, man. It's not a little small box truck. It's one of them big suckers, man. So this job, I've been working there for a while. I was delivering the bulk shit, man, and I'm not ashamed to say it, man. Unfortunately, at one point I reverted back to my criminal behavior, man. And when I show this video, I'm gonna try to incorporate the pictures so you guys can see it. Anyway, long story short, what I used to do is so I pick up the product early in the morning at the warehouse, obviously, and I'd make my deliveries. I had set routes for every day of the week, Monday through Friday. I'd hit up there by Daly City, and during one day, all the stores out there, it was all Safeways, exclusive. The next day I'd hit all the stores out by Oakland. The next day I'd hit them all out by Santa Rosa. The next day all out there, like it was all broken up. Every day had a specific area, but it was routes, the same route. So what I used to do is I go to a Safeway, I pull up, I'd wait until like some of the other trucks, like the Coors or Budweiser or those big trucks, when they weren't at the dock, and if the dock was open, most of the time it was, because I used to get my shit done early in the morning or late at night when people were still asleep. So I'd smash up, I back my truck up to the dock, I go inside to where the receiver is at, and then I go back there and I tell them, hey, I'm here with DSD. I got a delivery for you guys. I got your bulk product, right? So anyway, I had to be back there with the receiver, and he'd have to fucking go through every one of my products. He'd have to check it off, scan it all, right? So after we scanned everything, then I'd leave, man. That would be it. You know what I mean? So, being back there in their back room, though, where all their product is at, they had a lot of product back there. A lot of the times, I'd end up going to some of these stores, and it was on their their restock days. So there'd be pallets and pallets of shit. And hey, man, what can I say, man? There'd be times where I'd be back there for an hour waiting for the receiver to finish scanning other items or doing whatever he was doing, and I started looking through the product, and before you know it, it started with one little item here and there. I throw it in my truck. That turned into 2, 3, 4, 5 items. That turned into, like, I used to get those little small refrigerators that they'd have at the stores. Like when you go up to the front of the store by the checkout counters, you'll see those little Coke refrigerators, the little small, the mini ones. I used to get those, sometimes brand new, sometimes, they were, I get the old ones. They weren't throwing them away, but they'd be in the back room, and I'd load them up on a pallet, throw it in the back, get my pallet jack, throw it in the back of the truck. Boom. I had a fucking, my garage, I had like 9 of them at one time. Put them all on Craigslist and came out with like $2,000 after selling them all. But I get the refrigerators, and that turned into product, and sometimes I get whole pallets worth of just all kind of shit, food, everything that Safeway has to offer. I take a whole pallet of merchandise, man. I just wheel it in my truck. I'd watch for the cameras. There were some times where I'd be slick. I put a pallet in front of something so they could blocking the camera. I'd be on the other side of the camera throwing shit in my truck. Well, after a while, man, it started to become a habit, and I started getting carried away. I just started taking shit, man. Start taking more shit, a lot of shit. The same stores. That's what happens. You get greedy. Motherfucker don't know when to get in and get out. I should have just knocked it off, man, while I was ahead. But, I kept doing it. I just kept getting greedy. And most of the time, I didn't even need this shit. I'd have like 50 of these motherfuckers already stacked in my garage. I had 1,000 fucking batteries, man. 1,000 of them motherfuckers. I would take the whole rack. Like, I still got shit. I still don't need it. You know what I mean? Anyway, so look. After months and months and months of taking this shit, eventually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let me hold off on that. So, during one occasion, and this actually happened at NBM, the other job. But I'm just gonna tell you guys about the incident where I kind of fucked up. I did fuck up. So at this job, I was the yard goat, or the yard hostler. And basically, the yard hostler, what I used to do is I used to get them big 18, the big 50-foot 2 trailers, 52 feet trailers, and I used to. So this company that I worked for, they provided product for 3 stores: El Pollo Loco, Burger King, and Denny's. Everything that they fucking had in that store, we provided it to them. Everything down to a sponge, a paper towel, shit paper, whatever, man. Everything. We gave them everything. So there was a lot of product that were going to these stores. And again, these guys covered the entire state of California. I mean, we hit stores everywhere. So sometimes I'd use the yard goat. I take the yard goat, which is like a small little truck. It's specially designed to make, what it's designed for is to make moving trailers a lot easier. You get in, you slide right back up in the motherfucker. You lift up the trailer, put it on there, and boom. Once you hook it, you go. You hook up your connections, and then you can move it, right? So when a truck would get full, I have a walkie-talkie, and the supervisor would call me, tell me, hey, door 16's ready. So I go. Sometimes I get the GOAT, or I'd use one of the trucks. I knew how to drive a Class A truck, and I'd move the trailer, go park it in the yard, and then I would put an empty trailer over there. And that's all what I used to do all night. All night, that's what I used to do. Move trucks, put new trucks in. And then I would, during the day when the drivers would come in, I would gas up the trucks and park them and do all the logs and everything. Wash the trucks, wash the trailers out. I mean, I did it all. I liked that job too, man. It was a good job. Fucked it off, man. So, the first time I ended up having an accident was when I was moving one of the trailers, man. I was just trying to cut too close to the area I was in. I tried to turn too much, and I had too much fucking truck to try to make the turn where I was at. And I ended up clipping the sign. The sign, it wasn't just any sign. The sign was like a neon sign that lit up. And that sign was the sign for the truckers. It had the weight. It was the scale. When they get on the scale, it would tell them right there how much they weighed and all that. So it wasn't like no punk ass stop sign. It was an expensive sign, right? So I make a turn and I clip this motherfucker, and I see that I hit it. I clearly seen that I hit it. I go and park the truck, but I go over there and I play it off, man. Like I put the motherfucker back up, and it's completely, I destroyed it. But I kind of found a way to just hang it up to where it was like hanging crooked, and I propped a rock up against the motherfucker. It looked like a grave, man, a tombstone. It was fucked up. Anyway, I played it off like I didn't know who did it. I dummied up. It wasn't me. It must be one of the other drivers. I don't know, man. They came out, looked at my vehicle to see if there was any damage, or looked at all the trucks. It was like, anyway, nobody could prove it was me, but they thought I did it, right? So, anyway, that was the first incident. The guy that hired me, the one that Jim, his name was Jim, that was responsible for all. It was the transportation manager. That's what he basically was. He basically just said, "Hey, just if it was you, man, just watch your driving. Just be careful, man. We gotta spend a couple grand on fixing that sign, right? So, hey, I got you, man, but it wasn't me, Jim, right? Cool. So now the second situation that I had out there was like months later. And let me just say this, man. Before I ended up tagging this fucking this thing, I'm gonna call it a thing for right now until I tell you what it is. Another driver from another country tagged it, and his company had to pay for it. They had to rebuild it and put it up and repair it, man. They should have learned their fucking lesson that it was in a wrong place. They shouldn't have put it where it was at. It had no business being in between two of the dock doors. And basically what it was is a fire. It was a fire hydrant, okay? So the fire hydrant was in between two doors, two dock doors, right? So you used to always have, trucks were always pulling in and pulling out. It's a dangerous spot to put a fire hydrant. I understand they need one somewhere, but the other thing that they didn't do that was fucked up is, so the fire hydrant was sitting, and I believe I have pictures of it. And if I have pictures, they're going to be in this video. I'm going to incorporate them in this video so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But there was supposed to be two poles in front of the fire hydrant, so that in a situation like this, if a truck was to back up, you're going to hit the poles, not the fucking fire hydrant. It would protect the poles. Well, these dumbasses put the poles up, but they put them behind the fire hydrant. There was absolutely no reason. They served no purpose. They were on the wrong side of the fire hydrant. So somebody should have fixed them. Like, you were going to hit the fire hydrant before you hit those poles. And again, if I have these pictures, you're going to see them right here on this screen. I don't know where they're going to be at, but you're going to see a picture right here. So the night that this was like 6 months after the first driver hit him, but the night that I hit this motherfucker, so it was my last truck of the night, man. I had been working all day. It was my last truck. I wanted to get this motherfucker park the trailer, and then go do all my paperwork and get the fuck out of Dodge, man. I was tired. So in the yard, when we used to park these trucks, there was like it was a routine turn. You had to come all the way around the yard, and then you had to swing around real wide, and there was like a certain point where right when you got to that point, you always had to cut your wheel, and it was like once you learned how to do it, once you did it so many times, it was like clockwork, and you do it like almost out of habit. But you'd cut it right there, and the fucking truck would swing around exactly the way it's supposed to, and then you cut the other way, and then you could reverse, and the motherfucker would line right up with one of the doors, right? So I did that. Boom, made my turn, swung back around, and went to back up. So I'm backing up, and I'm looking on my mirror from my passenger door, and I see a fire hydrant. I see it, man, because I was aware of it. I had seen it before. And the corner of my trailer, from where I could see, it was like this close, man. So I was like, I still got a couple inches. So I'm backing up, and I guess that's when I just started to go blind, because I clipped it. I clipped the motherfucker. What I mean by clipping it is I barely touched it. It touched it, but that's all it takes. A truck like that is unforgiving. Anything that you touch is gonna destroy it. It weighs thousands and thousands of pounds. So anyway, I clip it and I see it. Psst, I see a little bit of water coming out, right? No big deal, right? It's just a little bit. So I'm like, I jump out the truck and I'm like, fuck, bitch, right? And I'm seeing it come out, spraying out the fire hydrant, and I'm like, fuck, man. Well, it's not that bad, but what I didn't know is that whenever the fire hydrant, whenever it kicks on, or whenever somebody's using it, or whenever that happens to it, all of a sudden the main pump kicks on, and it goes from like spitting out 5 gallons of water to spitting out 500 gallons of water. So that little fucking stream that was coming out, that was coming out for a minute, but by the time I walked up on that bitch, man, that motherfucker just woof, it just let go, man. That motherfucker just let go, and the fire hydrant just woof, it lifted up, and the whole fucking, it was just a big fucking geyser, man. It started flooding the whole yard, and I was like, son of a bitch, man. I go in and call the supervisor. I'm like, hey, man, fucking clip the fire hydrant. The fucking yard's flooding, man. So he's like, oh, we got to go to the main pump. And it took us about 20 minutes to get to the main pump, key all the doors open, get in there, figure out which lever worked. And by that time, the motherfucker was completely flooded out. Not only that, by then it looked 20 times worse than what it was, because where the water was coming out, it had lifted the fire hydrant up and completely just, it broke off the pipe, and then now there was just a huge hole where the water had just moved all the dirt and everything. And again, I believe I have the pictures on my phone, and if I do, they're going to be posted right here on this, where you guys are going to be able to see them. So when that happened, I was like, I told the supervisor, hey, straight up, man, straight up, be honest with me, man, because I mean, I ain't trying to fucking play no games, or trying to play the guessing game. Is this right? Is this gonna be my job right here? And he was like, man, it was like, I don't know. He's like, you know, Bill's the one that transportation was like, hey, it happens. It happened 6 months ago, you know, with another driver. So I wouldn't sweat it, man. You know what I mean? It's fucking water. Yeah, but it was hundreds and hundreds of gallons. Somebody's gonna have to pay for that. Not only that, but they're gonna have to repair the fire hydrant and all that shit. So it was like, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, man. So anyway, I wait till Jim comes in the next day, and I tell him the same thing. Jim was cool, and you know, the day that I went in there and I told him, I'm like, Jim, man, it was an accident. I thought I was clear. I clipped the motherfucker, and I explained how everything happened. I was like, not, and you know, the next day it looked 20 times worse than what it was, man, because it flooded out. And he was like, hey, you know, I wouldn't worry about it. You know, we're gonna notify corporate today. We're gonna tell them what happened. It's an accident. It happened before. I'm like, Jim, is it gonna be my job, man? Straight up, just be honest with me, because I'd rather just go ahead and walk on out now instead of getting blindsided later, man. And he was like, it absolutely is not gonna be your job. You're one of my best workers. You know, don't worry about it. So I was like, cool, man. You know what I mean? So the next day, I come to work. Jim comes in, and he's kind of a different type of dude. He's quiet, and he's kind of standoffish, but he'll talk to you. You go in his office, man, and he'll tell you, you know, what you need to do as far as his expectations on that job. So anyway, the day he comes in, I see him and I'm like, what's up, Jim? And he looks at me and he's just like real standoffish. And when I said that, and he really kind of gave me the cold shoulder, I'm like, oh, it's all bad. These motherfuckers must be getting ready to can me, man. Straight up, it's all bad. I see it coming. And he didn't say nothing to me the rest of the day. He came back out and he addressed one of the other yard hustlers, and again, he didn't say shit to me. He just walked right by me like I wasn't even there, man. And I was like, it's official, man. I should just bounce right now, you know. And within 2 hours, man, right before the end of my shift, Jim called me. He was like, hey, he paged me over the intercom. And then when I came to the little area where he was at by the little patio, he was like, hey, I need you to come back to my office. We need to talk to you real quick. And I'm like, okay. So it was planned, man, because there was a supervisor standing out there, and when Jim walked through the door, the supervisor got up and followed. I went through, and the supervisor followed me. And I looked out my peripheral. I'm like, yeah, this is the motherfucking shooting squad right here. They're about to let me have it, man. So I go in his office, and he's like, check it out, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's like, they're terminating you. They understand it was an accident, but this is gonna cost corporate over $5,000 to repair it, and it's costing them too much money. That's what it is, man. So I'm gonna have to ask you for your radio, your keys, and I'm gonna need you. To basically, they're gonna walk me off the property. So it's all good, man. I understand. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's unfortunate because it was an accident, but fuck it. Them motherfuckers terminated me, man. They let me go. Hopefully I'll find them pictures so you guys can see the pictures and appreciate it. It's a little different if you guys get to see the hole that shit caused. But yeah, man. Anyway, so from there I went to work with this other company, DSD. This is the company I was just talking about in the beginning of this video, where I started getting the fucking fever, man. The five finger discount fever. More like 10 finger discount, because I was stealing cases and cases of shit. Anyway, so you know, again, like I said, man, I started getting carried away, man. I started getting greedy. I started taking boxes and cases of shit. I had stole, like, I'd already took fucking like 4,000 batteries, like whole fucking display cases with the display all folded up and everything. I had like 4 of them. Didn't even need them. Didn't know what I was gonna do with them. It was enough to last an entire lifetime, but I just kept on taking more, kept taking more. So there was this one store. Matter of fact, these are 3 different jobs. So let me finish this part. So this job right here, This is how I end up getting terminated from this job. So I'm stealing more shit and more shit every time I pull my truck into certain stores that I knew I could get over on. Hard liquor, you name it, man. Whatever product Safeway had, I could get it, and I was just piling that shit into my truck, piling it in. So there was this one particular store where I used to get the displays cases of batteries, and they had their back room set up a certain way, and I knew they used to inventory shit, but I figured, these stores take a lot of they lose a lot of merchandise. People are in there shoplifting all the time. So, I figured like a dumbass that they just suck it up, but stealing a pack of batteries here and there is one thing, but when they start missing whole displays in thousands and thousands, then they put loss prevention on that shit. You know what I mean? It starts to send up flags. So this one particular store, like I said, they had their back room set up a certain way, and I would go in there and I had a routine where I used to just slide shit in my truck, kick it, you know what I mean? I had all kind of shit. Every time I used to go there, I would come away with all kind of shit. So on this one day, I go in there like I did every other day, dropped off their merchandise. I put it in a spot where it covered up the cameras, and I started taking all kind of shit. They moved shit around, so the batteries weren't there, but there was like a bunch of cosmetics and shit, soap, shampoo, lotions, deodorants. So I'm racking up on all that, right? Racking up on all that. Then I walk around and I'm looking, and I see a box of batteries right in the middle of the floor, like towards the back, but they're right there on the floor. And that should have been a red flag for me right there. It was uncharacteristic for that to be right there. However, I thought that maybe they just got a shipment in and they just left them right there, because that would have been normal, because that's where they used to stack all their merchandise whenever they get restocked. So I get that fucking box, I put it in the truck. I shut the door on my truck, and I'm pulling down the slider, their back door. I'm pulling that down. And as I'm walking, I turn around, I start walking towards the exit, and the door opens up, and 3 cats come walking out. And they're like, "Hey sir, excuse me, how you doing today, sir?" And I'm like, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we're doing pretty good." And they was like, so check it out. What I need to ask you is, I need to ask you to step in the office for me for a second. We need to talk to you, right? So I'm like, oh man, I already know, man. These motherfuckers got me. I done fucked up. They got me on the camera, straight up. So I'm already thinking like how I'm gonna play dumb, what I'm gonna say, and the dude's like, "Look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. For the last 3 months, we've been watching you. We've been watching you, and we got it well documented. It's well documented that you've been taking merchandise. And I'm gonna let you know that if I wanted to, I could press charges on you for what do they call it? They call it something when it's over like $2,000 or something. It's like grand theft or something. I forget what it's called, but he's like, we got a solid case on you right now. Daly City PD San Mateo would love to have this case. It's an open and shut case. We got you on multiple occasions on camera taking the merchandise. We have you on camera today taking merchandise. The box of batteries that you took, we're gonna need to go in your truck, and we need that. We need that back, right? So I'm like, I don't say nothing. I'm listening to them, and they're like, we can sting you, and you'd be going to jail, man. But I'm not gonna do that. You're obviously a working man. You're somebody that's trying to earn an honest living to an extent, and I think you just made a mistake. And So we're not gonna arrest you. It's not what we do. We're not gonna report you. We're not even gonna call your boss. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna be 86th out of all the stores in all the stores in the state of California, all Safeway stores. You're not allowed. You're not gonna be allowed to deliver to no more Safeways. Period. So you're gonna have to explain to your boss why you cannot come and make these deliveries now. The case, and then he asked me, so what route do you have today? Are you doing the rest of San Mateo area? Because I noticed that you have like 4 pallets left in your truck. And I'm like, yeah, they're down by Tan Fran, over there by fucking Redwood City and yeah, Palo Alto. So he's like, so you're not going to be able to deliver those. So you might want to take those back to the warehouse and explain. Think of something, man. Tell your boss why you can't make the deliveries. So, man, I felt it was embarrassing, man, that I got caught. I felt like a dumbass. For two, it was kind of disheartening because I knew I was going to lose my job. Had a good job. I had topped out. I was one of their best drivers. I was their senior driver. I was the driver that trained the other drivers. I had elevated myself within that company where they really, they liked me there, man. And I was gonna go somewhere in that company. Anyway, that that was the beginning of the end, man. I knew that there was nothing I could say to go back and explain why I could not make deliveries there anymore. I knew it. There was nothing that was gonna make sense. I thought about it was a passing thought. Well, maybe I'll go back to the warehouse and I'll start doing warehouse work for them. That's where I started at in that company. But then they already had their selectors and it just wouldn't have made sense. So, I went back and I tried anyway. I went and told my boss, it was like, hey man, I pulled my back. I can't make these deliveries. I'm sorry. Um, at the same time, I concocted a story. I'm like, look, I got into it with somebody, seemed like he was a corporate dude. And, you know, he told me that he yelled at me about something and I snapped back and he was like, where you work at? And I told him and he's like, you're not going to be allowed to come to do no more deliveries for us. And I'm like, I don't know who this dude was, but he seemed like he was higher up. So I'm going to tell you what I think happened. So these guys from loss prevention, I believe that they really did call my boss and didn't say nothing. Like, they didn't relay nothing outwardly, but they told him in so many words, like, hey, he can't come back and deliver no more for reasons that, like, he knows. He knows why. And they kind of, like, gave him the nod and the wink, and they kind of figured it out. So, it was almost 2 days later that my boss called me in. He called me in after my run, and he was like, hey, it's a sad day for me, man. It's like, dude almost wanted to start crying. He was like, you want to give me a hug and shit. It was like, you're my best driver. I got to let you go. I know, man. You know what I'm saying? I fucked up. I did it to myself, man. And he's like, man, it's an unfortunate thing, man. It's unfortunate. I've been working there, for a minute, man. And motherfuckers like me. Lightweight treated me like family. But I fucked that off, man. Big old dummy. That's what happens, man. When you start doing shit like that, you get greedy. And I don't even know why I was taking all that shit. I had like, my garage literally was packed the fuck out where I didn't have no more room, but I kept on just getting shit just because I could. Like, I don't know, I had the fever, man. But anyway, so that's why I lost that job. And I'm pretty sure I got the picture in my phone too, where they loss prevention put a picture, well, got a still shot of me on camera. and circulated that picture throughout all the receivers in the state of California, and they is with a little footnote that said, if you see this driver, do not allow him in your store. He is not allowed to do no more deliveries for Safeway. And it was a picture of me walking. It's kind of blurry. You can tell it's me. I got my clipboard in my hand. I'm walking, but I tripped out. I was like, somebody else, one of the receivers that I knew well, called me up and was like, hey, I got this picture. Like, they're generating this picture. Like, nah, man, send me that shit. So that's how I got it. Now, the last part of this is obviously where I flipped the truck. I got pictures of this too, man, on my phone. So all these pictures are going to be included within this video. Anyway, this job right here was another good job, man. I got lucky. For those of you that say you can't get jobs because you've been to prison, because you're all tagged back and you're a felon, bullshit, man. Bullshit. That's a fucking cop-out. If I could get a job with Nuestra Familia blasted on the back of my head, with the star on my forehead, I had tattoos on both sides of my head, any one of you out there can get a job. What I used to do is I used to send out email after email after email. I go on Craigslist and I hit all the warehouses or all the delivery companies, or the places that I knew would hire me, that hire guys like me, the construction sites, and I generate one long email like, hey man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not, I'm an honest dude. I'm transparent. I did a little bit of time in prison. I got in trouble. I paid for my mistakes. I just need somebody to give me an opportunity to show that I have like strong work ethic. I value my job. I have a family I need to provide for. I even work a week with no pay, free, just to show you how serious I am about working. Everybody deserves a chance. I believe we've all been given a chance in life. That's all I'm asking for. So another SOCA letter, right? Something along those lines. And eventually, man, I started, every time I ended up getting a job, they bid on my letters, man. And I went in there and then I represented myself, in the interview. So you guys can get jobs, man. Don't say you can't get a job because you've been to prison and you're mentally fucked up. I'm fucked up. Psychologically, prison fucked me up, and I still have some of the effects to this day. So if I can do it, any one of you can do it, man. I got a job every time I applied for one. There was never a time where I was looking and looking and looking and I just couldn't hit. It didn't happen, man. But let me say this, man. So this job right here was another cool warehouse. It was a good warehouse. It was a good company, man. And what they did was they delivered tractor parts all up and down Northern California, all over Northern California, all the way up to Fresno. And again, I had a route, and I had like these big, every morning when I would go in the warehouse, I'd have to load up, wrap them, load them by order, load my truck up, and then I had to go on my route and make these deliveries, man. So this job right here, like I said, it delivered tractor parts, and the good thing about it was always in the middle of the night. Like, I go to work at 2 o'clock and I wouldn't see nobody. Nobody would be in any of the businesses. Their lock keys were in a lockbox. Their keys to their business were in a lockbox. Some of them were dealerships. Others were like tractor businesses or factories. So it was a good job, man, and I liked it because I didn't have to deal with nobody. I didn't even have to deal with receivers. I just go in, scan all my own shit, and that was it. So anyway, this job right here, it was the same kind of trucks, man. It was a Hino, and these trucks were the same size as the other job I was working at. They were class C trucks, but they were the big motherfuckers, man. These big ass, I don't know how many feet they are, man. I don't know why 26 keeps coming to my mind. I think that's how much you can carry, 26,000 pounds in them. But anyway, so this particular warehouse was located in Tracy, and the route that I had went on that day, it was out there by Fresno. I used to have to go to all them little towns and cities over there. Anyway, sometimes I'd be tired, man. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't fall asleep that night though, man. This is what happened. So when I'm coming off the freeway by Stockton, there's like a place, there's an exit in Tracy where you get off the freeway. There's a roundabout. One way goes to Stockton, the other one goes to Tracy. That's the exit I got off on right there. That same exit, if you get off that exit and you make a right, you're going to end up going to Tracy Prison. If you make a left, you're going to hit that roundabout that I just talked about. So anyway, I had gotten off this exit plenty of times, man. Bunch of times. So on this one particular day, I'm getting off of work, or I'm coming back to the warehouse. My shift is over. All I got to do is bring the truck back to the warehouse, park the motherfucker, do my paperwork, gone, done for the day. I get off the exit, make a left. I'm going kind of fast. That's how I drive. I drive kind of fast. And when I'm flying down this straightaway, coming up to the roundabout, and all I remember, man, is the truck. I lost control. The motherfucking steering wheel went to the right. I tried to fucking correct it and went left, and the truck started skipping. Boop, 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 right? And I started to lose control. I tried to fucking correct it again, and I started to shoot to the left where incoming traffic was. So then I hit it to the right, and all I remember, man, is going towards a ditch and seeing dirt just come at me like 3D. I had a seatbelt on too. I'm lucky I did. And there's a camera in that motherfucker. But what I used to do is, because I knew they were watching me, and sometimes I would occasionally sleep, or I'd be doing things I didn't want them to see, is I pulled the visor down just a little bit, and it was just enough to block the camera. Or I'd take a piece of tape like everybody else used to do and just put it on the fucking camera. Anyway, so, and people, they would think that it was just dirty, because the tape would look like it was, you could still see through it, but it was just blurry and looked dirty. I didn't put nothing on there. It's just dirty. I need to clean it, But anyway, so, like I said, man, all I remember is seeing that fucking dirt just coming straight at me. And then I hit, boom, and it sounded like a fucking train, man. When I hit, the windshield bust. It shattered the windshield, and I remember the whole cabin just filled up with dirt. Right? Fills up with dirt. Now I'm hanging in midair by my seatbelt. I'm sitting there hanging, man, and I'm like, you motherfucker, man. I'm pissed off, and I hear footsteps. Get closer, and they're like, dude, you okay, man? You okay? And he's like, hold on, man, I'm coming. The truck was on his side. It was completely on his side. And like I said, I do have pictures. You will see them on this video. It was completely on his side. I flipped the motherfucker, and he had to climb up the bottom. Like he had to climb up the pipes, the axle, and like a ladder to get up on top of the truck and look down into the driver's door to see me. The windshield and all that shit was buried in the fucking dirt. I'm lucky, man. I could have got hurt, for real. The seatbelt fucking, it saved me. It really did. So this dude, when he looks and he sees me, he's like, oh my God, man, you're so fucking lucky, man. I was thinking I was going to look in there and see a dead body. He was like, dude, he was like, man, we were watching you, man. We seen what happened. Your fucking tires blew, man. And we seen you lose control. And we thought you were dead, man. And I was like, for real, you seen the tires blow? And I thought I fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie, man. He's like, yeah, man. My partners were standing out there. They seen the whole fucking thing. I'm like, I need them dudes. Where they at? And they were like, dude, let's get out of this truck. I'm in there pulling shit up, putting shit away in my fucking duffel bag. I got contraband like a motherfucker up in there. Shit I did not want them to find. I'm putting that shit away, right? I'm like, hold on, man. I got some shit I need to put away, man. So I get all my shit, get up out the truck. Again, the pictures. That's when I start taking pictures. CHP's out there. CHP. They asked what happened. I was like, hey, man, these guys, they seen what happened. I blew a fucking tire, man. I lost control. Anyway, I don't know if you guys have ever been in a truck that big and have flipped it, but it's not fun. It's a crazy ride. It's a big ass vehicle, and it happens fast, and it's a violent fucking. Like I said, man, I'm lucky I didn't get fucked up. I got lucky. A lot of people don't get that lucky like that, man. A lot of people don't wear their seatbelts and shit. They either go through the windshield or they get crushed up in there, man. But that was basically what happened with that. This company right here, because the truck was destroyed, they let me go, man. These son of a bitches, I was 6 days away from my 90-day probationary period expiring. And when I say I was the best worker, I am not bullshitting you guys. I had nothing but fucking, on my drop-off sheets, I was getting scoring 10s. I didn't get no fucking missed picks. I didn't get no missed deliveries, none of that. When I talked to my supervisor and I asked him, dude, am I going to lose my job? He's like, dude, you're the best worker we got. You don't miss nothing. He's like, your numbers are fucking, they're top. They're top. You're at the top of the list, man. You know what I mean? So you're not, if anything, they're going to be fucking, they're going to be eating out your hand, and they're going to be real nice to you. The tires blew. There's nothing you could do about that, right? So he put it on thick, and I'm thinking like, yeah, man, cool. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to file nothing on this. All I want is to just keep my job. I topped out. I convinced him to give me higher pay because I came from another job, and where I was going to take another job that offered more, and I had experience, and that's what they wanted. But anyway, so these motherfuckers, man, they let me take 3 or 4 days off. When I was calling in to ask what was going on, they were like, hey, they say take a couple more days off. Long story short, they ended up fucking letting me go because the owner was going to have to pay a shitload of money. His insurance was going to go up. Like I said, the truck was destroyed. They're all brand new trucks. Every one of his trucks was insured for $1 million. So that's why they let me go. Had I been a full-time employee, if I'd been there for 6 more days and what happened, there would have been nothing they could have done, man, because it wasn't my fault. But, when they let me go, my termination paper said that it didn't work out, that I wasn't meeting their expectations. I was the best worker. Really, they let me go because of the fucking accident, man. So that's my story, man. That's what happened. Those are my driving days. Do I still drive? Fuck that. You know what I mean? I got my truck, but I ain't driving no box truck. I ain't doing no yard hustling. Fuck all that. I'm done with that. For those of you that are in the trucking or the driving industry, be careful out there, man. Be careful. I know how it is. I know how it is to fall asleep and bounce off the fucking side of the wall on the freeway. I know all that shit. I know how it all goes, man. Been there, done that, was doing it for a long time. Be careful, man. It's good money, but stay awake. Stay awake, man, and pay attention, man. You're in a big-ass vehicle, and those vehicles, like I said, they're unforgiving, and usually when you wreck in one of those things, it's all bad. So for those of you big figures and anybody else that's out there on the freeway, driving Class A's or Class B's or even box trucks, be careful, man. Just remember that you're in a vehicle. You're like in a vehicle that can really hurt somebody. But not just that, you can also hurt yourself, man. Hey, this episode 20. Again, I know there wasn't nobody getting stabbed and killed in this video. There was no blood. All it was is just me and some fucked up trucks, some fucked up stories about how I cost these companies a shitload of money, man. But hey, shit happens. You know what I mean? Shit happens. If anything, I know some of you got some good laughs out of this shit. Don't start busting no fucking truck jokes. I was a good driver, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, man, I'm just bullshitting with you guys. You guys have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. Hopefully, this will get out tonight. This is your second war story. Again, tomorrow I'm going to drop some bangers. I'm going to hit you guys with some inner demons and a war story. But I'm going to get you guys some, you guys want some Wild Wild West shit. That's what you're going to get tomorrow. With that said, man, it's your boy B, episode 20, and I'm out.